Hey Raghunath, tell everyone about our Patreon community.
Sure, Kaustubha. The Wisdom of the Sages Patreon community is an incredible online yoga resource. If you like the type of yoga wisdom and culture we share on the show, then our Patreon community is a great next step. This is a listener-supported podcast, and any level of sponsorship will unlock a wide range of live and archived classes, talks, and even workshops.
Raghunath teaches, I teach, and we have a host of other excellent teachers on topics ranging from yoga philosophy, asana classes, storytelling, Ayurveda, kirtan, cooking, meditation, and a lot more.
We even have an incredible online Bhakti 12-step recovery group.
So if you want to check it out, go to patreon.com/wisdom of the sages.
All right, let's get it on.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from northern Michigan, Elk Rapids, Michigan, on beautiful Lake Michigan. This is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host Raghunath and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York, Kaustubha, who's live in Colombia. Welcome to the show, Srimad Bhagavatam. Welcome to Makeover Monday. It's Monday today, isn't it? Day to recalibrate, shake up the Etch-a-Sketch, a new day to face the whole week and decide who I want to be, where I want to go. Am I living up to my highest potential? Today is that day. It's a new day of a week. I'm in beautiful northern Michigan. I did a 13-and-a-half-hour drive yesterday. I pulled over when we were doing the show. Otherwise, I drove straight, Kaustubha. It was quite lovely.
Whew. You enjoy? You like the ride?
I love driving.
I learned that about you.
I love driving. My kids are up here visiting their grandmother. I came to pick them up, and I'm going to spend the day here. I'm going to go for a 25-mile bike ride, and I'm going to jump in Lake Michigan
more driving.
And some other lakes. I'm going to drive. I got to drive back.
Stillness. What about
You know what?
stillness?
This is our Bhakti stillness, Prabhu. You know what I did on that drive? I listened. I listened to sacred sounds.
Oh, very good.
I listened to sacred music, sacred lectures. I talked to devotees. I got inspired. I talked to Mara a little. Did we talk, Mara? Oh, we talked.
Yeah,
a little bit. A little bit. Yeah, it was great.
All right. Good.
So there's a stillness. I feel very still today.
Oh,
what?
Okay. I was thinking about yesterday's interview with Danya, or not interview with Danya, but it was yesterday's question and answer session, and we had Danya there.
Yeah.
And, like, I really appreciated her responses to certain things. And, like, we had one there are these things that come up in life. I've been thinking about this a lot. There are things that come up, we want to practice bhakti, but we all got these lives that are, complicated. And we've got responsibilities and just the way that the current, social worlds that we're living in are complicated. So when these things come up, it can be overwhelming. Like, on top of my working hard and earning money and dealing with the bills and dealing with the different pressures and raising children, and I'm still trying to do my bhakti practice. And then I find my kid smoking pot in the house, and it's like, okay,
on top of that, my kid's smoking pot. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you get hit with that. Or another one was like, oh, I just had a new 2-year-old. Well, that's got to be overwhelming. And when it's just like one more thing thrown up on top, it's like, how do I maintain this practice, right? It's just like that. I feel a lot of people under that kind of pressure, their bhakti practice will start to slip away. And but I'm really appreciating the idea that I'm getting that Danya's sharing, but that is shared in so many places, that really try to see that challenge, like the challenge that I found my kid smoking pot in my house, and now I have to deal with it as part of the practice, right?
It's a new way to reframe it. It's a new way to reframe. Yeah.
Right, and then you're seeing that actually my hearing Bhagavatam, my regular chanting japa, my kirtan, and all that is all preparing me to help deal with this situation.
Mm.
So now it's not like, oh my God, this is so much. I gotta set aside my practice. I wish I did, but I just don't have the energy for it anymore. And now you're like, no, no, no. I'm being energized by that practice, especially by hearing Bhagavatam, right? I'm being energized by that practice to deal with these challenges, and not only like deal with these challenges and get rid of them, but actually the challenge is where all that hearing becomes realized. It's like now I lived through this. Who I have the great fortune of spending some time here with in Colombia is Simon Haas.
Oh, great. We got to
Celebrated
get him on the
author.
show. Let's get him on
Yeah,
the
very,
show.
very. I, I'm going to invite him on the show, and I've heard so much. So many people have been. He's written one book called "The Dark Night of the Soul." Maybe that's what we'll have him if we invite him on the show. We could have him speak about that. He's written another one called "The Dharma Code," I believe, but everyone that I talk to is saying these are such. Even right now on our chat board, people are saying, "Oh my God, these books are so great." He explains Bhakti. He goes way back. He was actually second generation devotee, Bhakti-yogi.
Oh, really? He grew up with a
And
devotee?
so he did, yeah.
I didn't know that.
And he shared a term with me. I hope I remember right. I'll go back and check with him. But I think he said it's a Buddhist term, and they use this term continuous practice. Right? It's like it is a way of reframing how we see things. It's not like I got to get rid of all these distracting things in my life so that I can practice my bhakti. It's like
Right.
I practice bhakti, and then when I go out and deal with all these things in life, I'm continuing to practice in this setting,
Right.
and it often comes in forms of challenges, right? Yeah.
Right.
He gave a great
Yeah,
talk yesterday on the Dark Night of the Soul. Go ahead.
Yeah, we tend to compartmentalize. Okay, this is my spiritual practice, and this is my life. But the spiritual practice is supposed to assist
Right.
us to go into our life. And
then
I especially got that realization once I started popping out kids. I guess I didn't pop them out.
You didn't pop him out.
But yeah, I'm experiencing. I'm in the town, where two of my kids were born. I came to this town. This is where my wife's mother lives. My ex-wife. Can I say ex-wife yet? Where my wife's mother lives. So we can't come here to have children. My older son, my stepson, I helped him learn to ride a bike here. So my 16-year-old daughter, I was just in Mexico with, I was with her when she was, born. My son was born on the bed in the living room. You know what I mean? It's like one of these things where it's like I'm like getting blown away by like these memories and these like these impressions in my consciousness. And it's like, wow, this time is like a wheel and it's just rolling. And here I am, it's 17 years ago. And a lot of realizations come up, and Bhakti is a good companion to aging and to reflecting without sort of lamentation and without like overly romanticizing as well. And that's sort of like what I'm going through right now.
Well, I love the way that you see it, and it relates to what I'm saying. I think so well is that it's almost like you're seeing like when you see this world, it's not like it's meant for me to enjoy. That's not its purpose, but it's meant for me to learn. Then when you're in a position that if you're seeing it the first way, this world is for me to enjoy, then where you're at right now could be like, oh my God, this is weird. I just want to get out of here as soon as possible because these thoughts are haunting me in a way, and it's not comfortable, right? But if you're seeing the world as a place that the meaning of your journey is that you have lessons to learn, then you're seeing like, now what is going on right here, right? How has the Paramatma, brought me here, to bring these visions up and these memories up again. And when I look at them again, what am I meant to gain from it? What am I meant to learn from it? How am I meant to become transformed by it? It's just a whole different way of living. Simon Haas gave a really nice talk. There's a beautiful, beautiful community here in Cali, Colombia, right? Beautiful Bhakti community.
Yeah, it's super
There's
cool.
about, I think there's about there's about maybe 60 people here. I don't know, maybe it was more. And there's another 30 people like watching online. He gave a talk about the dark night of the soul, how practically everyone, at least at one point in their life, and maybe in several points in their life, go through a very deep challenge. And he defined what the dark night of the soul is, and he defined ways to respond to it. But it was making me think about that, like, that, for instance, that dark night of that soul, that really heavy challenge that we're almost immobilized by, that makes us feel like life is hopeless.
Mm.
You hit that, and if you're seeing that life is just by enjoyment, well, then you hit that and you really crash on that, But if you're seeing that life is meant for me to learn, then when that comes, you're like, okay, this is really hard, but this is the opportunity. This is my opportunity for deep transformation right here, right? This is where the lessons that I've been, the knowledge and the wisdom that I've been discussing and contemplating, reflecting on, this is the opportunity where it takes root in my life in a way that it never has before. And when you're living that way, you can even pass through those hardest times, kind of like in a sober way. It may not be easy, but it's beneficial.
Sober.
So anyway, he's a great teacher. Sober. Yeah,
Love that
sober,
word.
And you walk out transformed. Yeah.
By the way, I
You
just
like the word sober?
I love that word. Like when it comes to like life, being sober, being not swept up in the romance of material existence. By the way, while you were talking, I got a text message from Amarendra Prabhu, who's next week's guest. And I'm his,
Okay.
he doesn't know it, but I'm his fanboy. I'm a Bhagavatam fanboy of Amarendra Prabhu. And the text said, please let me know what you want me to speak about. So anybody's got he is a Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam pundit. He grew up a devotee. He's from India, but he's like, I don't know what he is, an engineer, a professor. I got to get his bio. But he's one of these undented people in my life that I'm like, how the heck did he pull this off? But anyway, if you got any ideas what you want to talk about in class, you can put it on the chat board right now, Zoomers. I'm thinking definitely go into Narayan Rishi and explain that whole phenomenon. And then maybe just the glorification of the Bhagavatam. What do you think?
I'm into it. Yeah.
All right.
Let's do it.
So, yeah, okay. So you're going to get Simon Haas on the phone. We got Amarendra for next week. I'm very excited. So what do you say we dive into demons fighting with each other?
Sounds good.
Is that
Not demons fighting with each other.
I'm sorry,
it's one
demons.
demon, but he's fighting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Fighting
And we almost
Lord Vishnu in the boar form.
we got like halfway through this we did a whole chapter and then we did half of another one. What's our last text?
We're on text 20 today.
Okay, great. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narotamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam mudiraye. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which every means a conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the Supreme Lord Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayeshva badreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya bhagavati utamashloke bhaktir bhavati naishtaki. By regular attendance in classes in the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart will become eradicated in loving service to the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, will be established in the heart as an irrevocable fact. Om Agyana Tamarandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Milatam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my spiritual master has opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my obeisances at his lotus feet. By the way, Kaustubha, it's the 26th anniversary of the Shelter Mantra record. And I know you're not into like 26th anniversary. You're like, all right, before the show, he's like, big deal. Call me in 24 more years when it's the 50th. You can't do it's the silver, the gold, but nothing in between. But I tell you, that was the year I met Raghunath Swami. So it's 26 years of having Raghunath
celebrate
Swami.
that. I'll celebrate that.
26 years, Raghunath Swami. I met him on the Shelter Mantra tour.
You met him the year that you put out that record.
Yeah, on the mantra tour.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. He
You're
stayed up
trying to
all
tie
night
it
with.
in a way that I'll get excited.
Yeah, I got to. I met him on the mantra tour, and we stayed at New Vrindavan, where Aramar is visiting right now, and he was there, and we got in, and he stayed up all night with us and told us the journey home, our whole band, and that's how it
That was
met.
a key moment in your life.
It changed the trajectory of my life. All right.
All right.
All right, so let's dive into this.
Speaking of trajectories, I think the trajectory of Lord Boar's hoof is about to go upside the head of the demon Hiranyaksha. Text 20.
Next 20. Oh, descendant
You
of
there?
Kuru, Brahma, the most
Yeah, we got a
independent
week.
demigod. What's that?
No. We're in chapter 19.
Oh, chapter 19.
Text 20.
Sorry, hold on.
Yeah.
Please hold.
And so maybe I'll take this moment for a little. What's happening now is like the Lord, again, he's a Leela avatar. He's having some play. His servant from the gates of Vaikuntha has come down to take the form of a demon due to the curse. And the Lord in the form of the boars is engaged in his Leela, fighting with him. And he's winning. Everything that Hiranyaksha is throwing at him, he threw his club, right? Threw it right at him. And what happened, Raghu?
Through the club, and it when that club got thrown.
He just caught it. he
Okay.
caught it.
Yeah.
He offered it back to him. Like, here,
Yeah.
you'd like to try again?
Yeah, it's a little humiliating.
And he said he didn't take it back. He pulled out a trident. He threw that. That didn't work. He hit him on the chest as hard as he could. It didn't work. And now he's throwing out like mystical kind of
Oh yeah, that's right.
illusions at him.
That's right.
So that's what we're hearing about now. He's throwing out all kinds of illusions to try to confuse him.
Okay. All right, so text 20.
Text 20.
O sinless Vidura. So this is the narrator speaking to Vidura. Mountains discharged weapons of various kinds, and naked demonesses armed with tridents appeared with their hair hanging loose. That's scary.
That could be scary.
Yeah. Cruel and savage slogans were uttered by hosts of ruffian yakshas and rakshasas. So those are sort of like demonic beings who all either marched on foot or rode on horses, elephants, and chariots. The Lord, the personal enjoyer of all
ordinary
sacrifice.
yakshas and rakshasas. These are ruffian yakshas and rakshasas.
I got a feeling all rakshasas are ruffians.
Scary.
I got a feeling they're
Well,
all
apparently not, because yeah. All right. Well, then that would be redundant.
ordinary rakshasas who are normally ruffians. Okay. The Lord, the personal enjoyer of all sacrifices, now discharged his beloved Sudarshan, which was capable of dispersing the magical forces displayed by the demon. So the Sudarshan is this wheel, a flaming wheel that Lord Vishnu carries, and he's about to throw it. At that very moment, a shudder suddenly ran through the heart of Diti. So that's the mother of these demons, the mother of Hiranyaksha. She recalled the words of her husband, Kashyapa, and blood flowed from her breasts. What? Even Mara lifted her eyebrows with that one. Mara was like, what?
I think it's... Don't worry about that right now. But because her husband had told her that your sons will be killed by Lord Vishnu, and now it's about to happen. Right?
Okay, I got you. When the demon saw his magic forces dispelled, he once again came into the presence of the personality of Godhead, Keshava, and full of rage, tried to embrace him within his arms to crush him like a bear hug. To get his great amazement. But to his great amazement, he found the Lord standing outside the circle of his arms. So he tried to squeeze him, and then he was outside that circle. The demon now began to strike the Lord with his hard fists. But Lord Adhoksaja, what does Adhoksaja mean?
Adhoksaja means beyond the measure of our senses.
Okay.
In other words,
The
he
Lord-
tried to wrap him up. He couldn't. He's beyond that, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Lord Adhoksija slapped him in the root of his ear. Oh, that would hurt. Even as Indra, the Lord of the Maruts, hit the
told you,
demon Brita, just like whack.
The trajectory of his hoof went upside his head there. It got him right at the root of the ear.
Well, we haven't decided
You
if he
try
has
to do
hoofs
that
or
in
hands.
MMA and you're... No, he's got to have hooves. I think it even
How
was going
can
to
he
mention
hold
his
a mace
later here.
with hooves? See, this is where the whole Bhagavatam
He
starts to
is
fall apart. I don't
Lord
believe any of this
Vishnu.
any longer. There's too many holes in
I
this.
met a boar yesterday. I met a boar yesterday. I was a wild one. You know that? I walked.
No.
You know when you walk outside of the Sham ashram, you go out the gate, and you
Yeah.
can turn left, and it opens up to this big open fields. Well, there was a black boar just came
You
out
were
of nowhere,
kidding me.
and it comes. Sham Sundari says it comes out every day, because you know those little men that have that little farm like right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they say that every day this wild boar comes and they feed it.
Hey, there's
Sweet little
boars in
guy.
Italy where we're gonna
You could pet it
stay.
and everything.
You pet the boar?
Yeah, they dig out the. Yeah,
Maybe
Yeah,
it was
he was like a
pig.
dog,
It could have just been a pig,
but he was a
man.
wild boar.
It could have just been a pig.
No, he had like a razorback kind of thing. He had those kind of hairs on his back and everything. You know,
I don't think you can pet a wild boar.
he had tusks.
Oh, really?
He had tusks.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Text 25. The demon now began to strike the Lord with his hard fists, but Lord Hoaxu just slapped him with the root of his ear, in the root of his ear. Okay. 2x26. Though struck indifferently by the Lord, the conqueror of all, the demon's body began to wheel. His eyeballs bulged out of their sockets. His arms and legs broken, and the hair on his head scattered. He fell down dead, like a gigantic tree uprooted by the wind. So that was it. Just one slap to the ear, and all that happened. Knocked out his eyes.
Yep.
Scattered his hair. I guess it was a hard blow.
Yep.
Aja. I love that name for Brahma. Aja means the unborn. Aja, Brahma, and others arrived.
Unusual birth. He was born on the lotus, right?
Yeah. He wasn't really born. He was just sort of appeared on that lotus, the Aja.
Yeah.
Aja, Brahma, and others arrived on the spot to see the fearfully tusked demon. So the demon also had tusks. It was like lying on the ground, biting his lip. The glow of his face was yet unfaded, and Brahma admiringly said, "Oh, who could meet such a blessed death?" It's a blessed death to get killed by Vishnu. Brahma continued. He was struck.
Even though he was dead, he had this glow still because the Lord had killed him, right? Had touched him with that lotus hoof.
Lotus-like hoof. Brahma continued. He was struck by a forefoot of the Lord, whom yogis seeking freedom from the unreal material bodies. This is so beautiful. Listen to this verse. He was struck by the forefoot of the Lord.
Yeah.
That forefoot, whom yogis seeking freedom from their unreal material bodies meditate upon in seclusion in mystic trance. While gazing on his countenance, this crest jewel of Diti's sons has cast off his mortal coil. So they're glorifying how he died. This is how yogis want to die, you know, seeking freedom. Doesn't he like this statement? This is how yogis seeking freedom from their unreal material bodies. Our bodies are unreal. Why? Because they're not present in they're not here in past, present, and future, the three phases of time. They're only here for a moment, and they're always in flux. So the yogis call that unreal. Real means it's here eternally.
Mm-hmm.
So the bodies are unreal by a yogic standard. They are not sat. They are not eternal. They are asat. My existence as Raghunath is asat. It is unreal. I'll just be changing bodies. For me to even say I'm a boy, I'm a white American, Italian American, whatever. That's according to the yogis, that is not real. Why? Because it's dreamlike. It's here for just a moment in time, and then it changes, and then I become convinced I'm some other type of matter, some other suit of clothing that I'm wearing. I love this. Okay, text 29.
That's straight out Bhagavad Gita. Oh, slow down, brother. Don't run off.
Straight up Bhagavad
See,
Gita,
this is what I talk
man.
about, the stillness. You're running. You're driving. Next thing I know, you're going to like start up that engine and just take off. You know?
I'm running to the Bhagavad Gita.
Okay, let's run to Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, text 16.
Ooh,
Right, which is
it's almost like we got this down.
I guess
We're
it
like,
was a verse you were alluding to, right?
Shamsi Jernani Yata Bihaya. That one? You like that one?
No. Nasato vidyate bhavo.
Nasato
Na bhavo vidyate sataha.
Ubir api dristantas.
Yeah.
Tvario tatvadarsibi.
Yep.
Ooh, still got it.
Tattvadarshibis, those who are seers of the truth, right? The Tattvadarshibis, those who are seers of the truth have concluded that of the non-existent, there is no endurance, right? So like if something, like you say, 3 phases of time, right? If something is here just in one phase of the time, it's kind of a phantasmagoria. It appears and it disappears. It's almost like a dream. It's there one moment, like when you wake up from a dream, it's gone and there's no further access to it. It's unreal in that sense, right? It has no substance. It's then it's gone. So the yogis look at, for instance, the material body that way, right? That it has no endurance. It's only here in one phase of time, and then it's gone. Ultimately, it's unreal. So those who are seers of the truth have concluded that of the non-existent, there is no endurance. That's how you identify it. And of the eternal, there's no change. This they have concluded by studying the nature of both, right? And so in this verse, as you're mentioning, it's saying that the term, it says lingad asato. Hey, it's the same thing, right? Nasato and asato, right? Na asata, not existent. And so here, lingad asato mamukshaya, from the body that is asata, unreal, mamukshaya, seeking freedom. This is what yoga is all about, right? It's not so much about the things that people commonly think it's about, particularly in the Western world, right? Well, why do you practice yoga? And then they might give you so many reasons. But traditionally, people are seeking freedom from their unreal bodies. I'm trapped in this body. I'm trapped with this mind. How much trouble is my mind causing me, right? The loops of thoughts that are going through my mind that are just distracting me and disturbing me and giving me anxiety, giving me fear, giving me hatred, giving me all these. I want to become free from that unreal body.
The anger, the revenge.
Yeah.
That's why a good yoga teacher, you get into class, a good yoga teacher has you come, sit down, breathe, analyze your mind, see yourself as something separate than the mind. Hey, Stacy Cabrera just joined. Hey, Stacy, good to see you. How about this verse? 222, without looking. What's that verse? Do you know it? 222.
No, go ahead. Hit me with it.
Vishamsi Jirnani Yatabe
222. Oh, is
Haya.
that Najite?
No, Vishamsi Jirnani Yatabe
Go ahead, I was
Haya.
wrong.
Navani Grinati Naro Parani. Yata Sarirani Vihaya Jirnani. Anyani Samyati Navani Dehi. As a person puts
Anyani
on
samyati navani
garments.
dehi.
Isn't that good? As a person puts on new garments, giving up old ones.
Mhm.
Similarly, the soul accepts new material bodies, giving up old and useless ones. We're just changing outfits.
Yes.
That's the
And not
reality.
And actually, it's happening at every moment, right? Because the cells are dying, they're being replaced by new ones, and it's constantly in flux.
Yeah.
So this is what this is what the yogis. This was the point of yoga, is liberate, to get free from that unreal material body, seeking freedom from their unreal material bodies. But who's doing that? In this text, it says the yogis. And how do they do it? They meditate upon they meditate upon the form of the Lord in seclusion, in mystic trance. So there's a type of yoga that's done in seclusion, right? And Srila Prabhupada is going to speak about this in the comment. Why don't I read a little commentary? You ready?
Sure.
Okay. The process of yoga is very clearly described in this. Excuse me. The process of yoga is very, very clearly described in this verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. It is said here that the ultimate end of the yogis and mystics who perform meditation is to get rid of this material body. Therefore, they meditate in secluded places to attain yogic trance. Now, Srila Prabhupada is going to say, no, I'm going to tell you what traditionally how yoga is understood, right? Yoga has to be performed in a secluded place. Now, when he's saying this, he's talking about a particular type of yoga, like Ashtanga yoga, like Patanjali's yoga, right? Deeply meditative yoga. So he's saying the way that you practice that is you leave society. There's another way to practice a yoga where you engage in society. But if you want to be that kind of yogi, you're meant to leave, and not many people are willing to do that, right? So it says, therefore they meditate in secluded places to attain yogic trance. Yoga has to be performed in a secluded place, not in public or in a demonstration on stage, as nowadays practiced by so many yogis. Real yoga aims at ridding one of the material body. Yoga practice is not intended to keep the body fit and young. Such advertisements of so-called yoga are not approved by any standard method. Particularly mentioned in this verse is the word yam, or unto whom, indicating that meditation should be targeted on the personality of Godhead. Even if one concentrates their mind on the boar form of the Lord, that is also yoga, even the boar form. Right? As confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, one who concentrates their mind constantly in meditation upon the personality of Godhead in one of his many varieties of forms is a first-class yogi. What do you think that verse is, Raghu, that he's mentioning there?
One who meditates on the Lord in his, what is that? Say it again.
He said, one who concentrates their mind constantly in meditation upon the personality of Godhead in one of his many varieties of forms. One who concentrates their mind,
I don't know,
in meditation upon that is the first class yogi. Yogi namapi sarvesham.
Yogi nam.
Madgatain antar atmana. Shradhavan bhajate yomam same yukta tamo mataha. Krishna is saying that the yukta tamo mataha, the in his opinion, the one that's yukta tamo, the one that's the most connected through yoga, is the following. He says, first of all, yogi namapi sarvesham, of all the yogis. Mat gatain antar atmana, right? The one who's always abiding in me, one who's always thinking of me, anta atmana, within themselves. Shradhavan, with possessing full faith. Bhajate, and renders loving service, worships with love. That is considered to be the highest yogi of all. That's right there, Bhagavad Gita, right? So he goes on. As confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, one who concentrates their mind constantly in meditation upon the personality of Godhead in one of his many varieties of forms is the first class yogi. And they can very easily attain trance simply by meditating upon the form of the Lord. If one is able to continue such meditation on the Lord's form at the time of one's death, one is liberated from this mortal body and is transferred to the kingdom of God. This opportunity was given to the demon by the Lord, and therefore Brahma and other demigods were astonished. In other words, the perfection of yoga practice can be attained by a demon also, if he is simply kicked by the Lord. And there you go, because this verse, I think it mentioned that he was struck by the forefoot of the Lord. That means it was a hoof, right?
It's a hoof. All right.
We
Let's get
clearly
back to the
had
verses.
that at least.
That was a nice little Bhagavad Gita detour. I love dipping into the Bhagavad Gita from the Bhagavatam.
It was. Me too.
But I lost my text number. 28?
29.
29. These two personal
29.
assistants of the Supreme Lord, having been cursed, have been destined to take birth in demoniac families. After a few such births, they will return to their own positions. The demigods address the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
All obeisances unto you. You are the enjoyer of all sacrifices, and you have assumed the form of a boar in pure goodness for the purpose of maintaining the world. Fortunately for us, this demon, who was a torment to the worlds, has been slain by you. And we too, O Lord, are now at ease in devotion to your lotus feet. Kaustubha, I think it's good to separate what's going. to separate two things here. One is we have very deep philosophical and relevant things that we can apply to our life. And then we have these otherworldly stories where God is a boar with a club slapping a demon in the ear. It's almost like two worlds. You should understand that very fantastic side, you may not be able to understand, but the other stuff, it's very digestible, very relevant, and very practical. So if you're one of those persons that struggles with faith, like, this is crazy, can't we just extract some practical relevance? You can, but you should understand the great masters who've understood all of this, they say, suspend your doubt. Doubt your doubt and move forward. Actually, the Vedas are very, very clear when they speak of what is an analogy and what is a reality. What is a what's the word? What's a metaphor? What's a parable? And what is actually real? And they say all these forms are actually real. They're way beyond your perception. We have to get to this point where, like, we don't know, but we have to become open to say, it could be. Could God manifest into a boar? Sure, why not? What do I know about God? Can he manifest as a blue little baby? Sure, why not? And I think it's important to reintroduce this concept of could be, what do I know? Because in the material world, everybody claims they know everything and it has to be like this and this is too crazy. What do we know? Just the fact that, who was it that said they just gave birth to their second child yesterday? It's like that in itself is a fantasy. A child comes out of you and nurses on your body. That is the Krishna miracle. What to speak of the oak tree and an acorn. That's a Krishna miracle. We have miracles right around us, right in front of our faces. What to speak of otherworldly things that we can't even perceive. So we have, if all the fantastic stuff is too much for you to swallow, just go with this very practical, real, relevant stuff in your life and apply it and see what happens and take the next step forward. It's understandable if it's fantastic. We live in a fantastic universe, people. This isn't an ordinary place. This is a phenomenal place. It's all magic. This has been a public service announcement.
It is.
All right. It is. You got to say that because sometimes people join the show they're new to the show and the whole thing sounds like, what? Bore. Okay, the demigods address the Lord. All obeisance. Oh, I just read that. Text 31. So back to the narrator, Maitreya. After thus killing the most formidable demon, Haranyaksha, right? Text 31.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
After this,
I was going to say we're back up to stage level 3, but you kept going. So, and the lag is like playing with us. So I just.
Sorry, lag wagon. After thus killing the most formidable demon, Haranyaksha, the supreme lord Hari, the origin of the boar species. Interesting. Returned to his own abode, where there is always an uninterrupted festival. The Lord was praised by all the demigods, headed by Brahma. My dear Vidura, I've explained.
Festival going on there, Raghu.
What's that? An uninterrupted
festival. There's always a festival going on.
There's always a festival. Partying is a transcendental activity, but we've all partied in the mode of ignorance. That's the problem. This is a different type of party. My dear Vidura, I've explained to you the personality of Godhead's coming down as the first boar incarnation and killing in a great fight a demon of unprecedented prowess, as if he were just a plaything. This has been narrated by me as I heard it from my predecessor, spiritual master. Now, Sutta Goswami's talking. So this is a sage level 2, I guess. My dear Brahmana.
Sage level 1.
Sage level 1. Okay. Sutta Goswami. He is speaking to an assembly of great sages. My dear Brahmana, Vidura, the great devotee of the Lord, achieved transcendental bliss by hearing this narration of these narrations of the pastimes of the personality of Godhead from the authoritative source, the sage Maitreya, and he was very, very pleased. What to speak of hearing the pastimes of the Lord, whose chest is marked with the Srivatsa? People may take transcendental pleasure even in hearing of the works and deeds of the devotees whose fame is immortal. So those are the two things we mainly glorify. We glorify the Lord and we glorify the devotees of the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
What grateful soul is there who would not
Nope,
render
you
his
skipped
loving
one.
service?
Text 35.
What's that?
Text
Oh, I'm
35.
sorry. Why do I jump over things? Because I'm always rushing, that's why.
It's
The
the same
personality
thing.
of Godhead delivered the king of the elephants, who was attacked by an alligator and who meditated upon the lotus feet of the Lord. At that time, the female elephants who accompanied him were crying, and the Lord saved them from impending danger. That's a great story.
That's going to come up in the 8th
What
canto of the
grateful
Bhagavatam.
soul. Yeah. You know, I'm just going to give a little teaser of that story. You have the king of the elephants. You know, elephants, they travel in packs, and one is the alpha male, and one has, you know, and the alpha male's got all these she elephants around him, and he's just sort of walking, and everybody is fearful of the elephant because it can do so much damage. And this elephant, you know, imagine just having this big, beautiful body that everybody fears or looks up to. And even the other male elephants were like, whoa, you're cool. You're like the cool elephant. And so he's walking through with that type of ego that goes with people that are very qualified. See, this is something, I had a great talk with Rachel on the phone yesterday. It was like, whenever we're very qualified in something, we have to be careful of our ego. And the ego is the greatest asset when used in bhakti, or it's our greatest, not the ego, but our assets can be used in bhakti to deliver us. Just like Kaustubha is very learned. His learnedness used in bhakti makes him a great soul, you know, but there's people who are very learned and they use their, you know, erudition, like that word, Mara, erudition, to complicate their lives, to become proud of what they have. And that same asset now becomes what's the opposite of a liability, a deficit. So
a liability.
A liability. It becomes a liability. So whenever we have something great, it could be our great intelligence, it could be a great amount of wealth, it could be a great beauty, it could be very strong or we're very powerful or very famous. All those things, we can use them to enlighten us, or we can in service, or we can use them to entangle us deeper in illusion. Just because you're famous doesn't mean you're a great person. It could get you into a massive type of illusion where you're narcissistic, self-centered, end up dying. You know, you get like Elvis Presley who's dying, you know, vomiting and choking on his own vomit. What good is all that fame? Or you can take fame and use it for a very great, you know, purpose, or your wealth and use it for a very great purpose that liberates you and everybody you touch. So the elephant, in his arrogance, he stepped into the water. He was drinking first, and then an alligator clipped him right on the leg. And he was out of his comfort zone in the water. And he started trying to be cool, and all of a sudden he realized, man, I'm going down. You ever get in the ocean, Kaustubha, and you're like swimming around, and everything's cool, and all of a sudden you get caught in a riptide? And you're like, and you start like panicking a little, and you're trying to be cool.
No, I don't think
you
I
never
have.
cried for help in the ocean, Mara. Come on, somebody back me up. Where you're in the ocean and you're like, everything's cool. You're trying to play, and then you're like, help me, help me. You've never cried for help, where you have to like let go of your ego and just cry. Oh man, I did that once. Just start screaming, help, help me. I was in Brazil. It was humiliating. Anyway, that's what happened. But in his help, he called out for Lord Vishnu. We're going to read that story in the 8th canto. Amarendra Prabhu tells that story very well. Maybe we should get him to tell that. Okay.
Maybe we ought to go there.
Yeah. What grateful soul is there who would not render his loving service to such a great master as the personality of Godhead? The Lord can be easily pleased by spotless devotees who resort exclusively to him for protection. Though unrighteous man finds it difficult to propitiate him. What does that mean, Mara? Propitiate? What do you mean? Yeah, didn't your essay
you appease through your worship or something like that?
to win or regain the favor of by doing something that pleases them.
O Brahmanas, anyone who hears, chants, or takes pleasure in the wonderful narration of the killing of Hiranyaksha by the demon, by the Lord, who appeared as the very first boar in order to deliver the world, is at once relieved of the results of sinful activities, even the result of killing a Brahmana. So if you hear this,
You know what
chant this, or if you take pleasure in this, we did all three of those.
I did. I took pleasure.
I did. I took pleasure.
Yeah.
I heard it.
So this is called what? What is this verse called?
Paul
And the next-
Stuti. Paul Stuti.
Shruti. Right?
Shruti.
The fruit of hearing. Yeah,
Which one?
Shruti.
The benefit.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the benefit that you get. And you know, it's interesting. When it says like even that of killing a Brahmana, that's always used, right? It's like, in other words, it doesn't matter how bad you are. Even if you're killing, like, even if you have killed a really good person, you know, like a person that had all good qualities. It's kind of like saying no matter how dented you are, right? No matter how dented your can is, you know, if you take pleasure in hearing, you now you've plugged into the very source of transformation, you know, and that's hearing Bhagavatam.
That's a good point,
And it
because
continues in text 38.
I just want to make that point. People will say like, okay, I murdered somebody. That's all I have to do is hear this story. But Kaustubha, your point is, once you start hearing this, it plugs you into a whole new lifestyle. I think that's the point here. You're not supposed to just
Yeah,
like
you can't
hear
go
this
on killing
and
people.
start killing people.
It works.
It works. I'm free from sin. I can't even go to prison anymore. No, you still go to prison. But the thing is, it starts to change your whole life. And a lot of us have witnessed this. We hear some story from the Bhagavatam, and all of a sudden, it starts to radically. I'm a different person than I was. I'm completely a different person than what I was when I was 18 years old. I've still got tons of works to do, Himalayan peaks to climb, but I'm different, and I can see myself changing as I apply this stuff to my life. What do you think, Mara? Not me, with yourself. I'm curious because you're younger and newer and fresher.
Yeah, absolutely. My life
Has the Bhagavatam changed you?
Yes.
In a good way? Like how? Wow.
In a good way.
Yeah. Just like a regular morning sadhana, it's like straightened out my life course to a degree. You know what I mean? Like I focus more on what's important to me and let the other things fall away without taking them as seriously as I used to.
Yeah, the stuff that would chew over in your mind and make you sad and miserable and upset, just let them go. You see the bigger picture of things. And of course, there's the habits. You know, you let go of any bad habits you have, you know, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. You have, haven't you?
You did, right?
Intervention.
That hasn't set in yet? We've been going at this for 1.5 years, Mara.
Everybody here is here today for you, Mara, for an intervention. We need you to give up your habit of
Let's
killing
talk about your
Brahmin.
habits.
You're killing Brahmin habits.
I've been reading this.
Okay, the last verse. Verse 38. This most sacred narrative confers extraordinary merit, wealth, fame, longevity, and all the objects of one's desire. What? This is just giving you good karma? On the field of battle, it promotes strength of one's vital organs. What? And organs of action. What? One who listens to it at the last moment of his life is transferred to the supreme abode of the Lord. Wow. So this is one of those things. This is how some great souls want to die hearing these pastimes, or they want to be in meditation when they leave their body. They don't want to be meditating of anything of the material world when they leave their body. They want to be high. Their focus needs to be high. That's why when I leave my body, I want Kaustubha there, chanting by my side, putting a little tulsi leaf in my mouth. Go, Raghunath, go. You chant. You think of Lord Vishnu. You know, I'm going to be looking around the room. I was like, oh, is there something to eat? Is there, you know, and then Kaustubha's going to be like, no, focus on Vishnu.
I'm gonna have my utility belt on. And it's going to have a little Gunga water, a little Jamuna water, a little Radhakund water, get those squirt guns. I'm going to pull them out. I'm going to squirting all over you. There's going to be the Tulsi leaf canister on that utility belt. And we're ready for you.
Yeah, you put my deities around my neck. I can wear those. You can put the Tulsi leaves in my mouth. Squirt me repeatedly. Mara, you can pour some Gunga water on my head. You know, just make sure I don't like choke. You know, don't like to choke on the leaves of the Tulsi.
Your glasses are going to be all like sprayed over.
Yeah, it's okay. That's what I'm gonna
You got to
do.
choke. That's the way to choke.
Yeah, make sure I'm
Srila
dead.
Prabhupada-
Make sure I'm dead
first of all,
before
by the
you
way, you're
burn
saying
the body. That's my biggest fear.
Yes, I'll
I'm
do
still
that. for you.
alive, Mara. I'm
I'm
still
gonna
alive.
walk up to you. I'm gonna start like, I'm gonna be beating on you with like a baseball. What are you doing? I'm just making sure he's dead. Right? I promised him I would do this.
It's okay.
But you know, when it's saying it's giving strength to one's vital organs and one's organs of action, you know, in yoga circles, there's more than the five senses. There's the sixth sense, which includes the mind, and then there's the senses of action, which include like the ability to grip, ability to move, the voice, etc., etc. So it's talking about the different senses there. And when it says one's vital organs and one's organs of action, I think that's what it's speaking about. But here in the commentary, Srila Prabhupada mentions this, because this, what we heard in these is, if you hear Srimad Bhagavatam, all auspiciousness comes into your life. And at the same time, it'll travel out of this life into the eternity, then ultimately. And so then Prabhupada writes in the commentary, the beginning of devotional service, the beginning of Bhakti-yoga, is to spare some time and listen to Srimad Bhagavatam from the right source. Boom. Okay? That's what we're all doing here in Wisdom of the Sages, right? We're getting it from the right source, and we're sparing a little time to hear Srimad Bhagavatam. That's where devotional service starts. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also recommended 5 items of devotional service, right? How do we remember them, Raghunath? Do you have them?
Bhagavatam. Huh?
Yeah, Nam Dam Bhagavatam.
Nam Dam.
And then the other 2 that don't rhyme. You just have to remember 2 now.
Yeah. I can just remember all 5.
Okay.
Nam.
Nam
The
Dam
Nam Dam
Bhagavatam.
Bhagavatam.
And then
Seeing the deity.
that's 3 of them. Yeah.
No, that's the
And?
4th one. That's the 4th one. And
The 5th one.
I can't remember. Oh, living in the holy place. Oh, that's the Dam.
Associated with
remember.
devotees.
Associated with devotees.
Dam.
Sung.
Associated with devotees. Associated. Yeah.
Those 5 things are so powerful.
Again, the beginning of devotional services, they're potent. So the beginning of devotional service is to spare some time to listen to Srimad Bhagavatam from the right source. Okay. And then Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also recommends 5 items of devotional service, namely to serve the devotees of the Lord, to chant Hare Krishna, that's the Nam, to hear Srimad Bhagavatam, that's the Bhagavatam, to worship the deity of the Lord, and to live in a place of pilgrimage, that's the Dham. Nam Dham Bhagavatam, worship of the deity, and associated with devotees. Just performing these 5 activities can deliver one from the miserable condition of material life. There's the focus. All of these 5 are powerfully transformational. You engage in them, they change you. They change your life. They purify your mind. They free you from the bondage that we've been in. But for them to be potent, we need to live the right lifestyle. We need to have the right sentiments. We need to behave in such a way that we become receptive to this, that our mind becomes absorbed in this and receptive to this. And that's where so much of the lifestyle comes in. All right. Mara,
All right.
any takeaways from today?
Yes, we do have some takeaways. Don't compartmentalize your spiritual practice.
Like that. Like that.
What am I meant to learn from this?
Yeah. Yeah.
Our bodies are
Okay.
unreal.
Bodies are unreal.
Continue
Some of them are more unreal than others.
There's someone who says, she's got an unreal body.
She's got
Someone
an
says,
unreal
Oh
body.
man, she's got this unreal body. Yeah, it is unreal. All right.
Well, I got a butt implant, so that's definitely unreal.
Continuous practice
Okay.
reframes all of life's challenges.
Okay.
Okay.
Bhakti pairs well with aging.
It does. It really does.
Mhm.
Doubt your doubt and move forward.
Doubt your doubts. People, you're going to doubt something? Doubt your doubts.
We live in a fantastic universe.
It's fantastic.
Partying is a transcendental activity.
Oh, it is. It is.
And take your assets.
Can be.
And
Take your assets and use them for something greater.
Well,
Yeah,
I
how
thought,
about
I thought you were about your comment for a second there. I thought you were Brazilian butt lift, but no, assets. You said, right?
yeah. How about don't burn me alive?
We got to get over this lag. Raghunath. I'll make. I promise, Raghu. I promise.
All right.
And you got to
Now,
promise the same to me if it's the other way.
Now let me see everybody. Let me see everybody. I won't burn you alive, man. I'll poke you with the stick first and see if you react.
All right.
Is he dead? Mara, is he dead? He's still wiggling. Whenever I poke him, he wiggles. He's still alive. Keep spraying him with
harder.
the
Make
water.
sure.
We'll spray it. We'll keep spraying him.
Raghunath's like, I don't know if he's alive or dead, but keep hitting him with the water. Spray him more. Spray him more.
Can I ask you to just spray me on mist? Don't use stream. Use the mist feature. Thanks for everybody for joining us.
I'll try, but when it comes down to it, Raghunath, I'm just going to make sure you get hit by that water.
Okay,
Right.
but if you missed it, it won't
I'm not
affect
going to start
you.
running around looking for mists.
No, you just turn the spray bottle, Prabhu. You turn that spray bottle, you put it on mist.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
sometimes they don't work so well. Just,
I know.